guys, welcome back. My name is Mike, and this is the Case 1840 that I've been restoring in the past several videos. And in this video, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of different stuff. Usually I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to get done in each video, but there's so many small odds and end jobs that I need to get done, like the wiring and the loader and the rollover cage all needs to go on. So I'm not really sure what we're all going to get accomplished in this video because I like to keep them around an hour or less, but we're going to probably get started on some of the electrical. But before I bring you to my supplies that I got for that, I did do a little bit off camera. Let me show you what I got done. I like to bring you guys along for most of what I'm doing on this, but every once in a while I do some stuff off camera just to knock it out. It's not super interesting. If you watched the last video, these hydraulic dampers, I didn't have new ends because I was waiting on parts. I did get some new Heim joints on each one of those. It actually mounts on both sides. So got those put on, and then we put the handles on. There's nothing super exciting about that. It's just a carriage bolt that goes through and some more Heim joints that goes down to this control rod. Probably the one thing I probably should have recorded, putting in these parking lock mechanisms. So this mechanism, there's a plunger that goes in and out with a spring on it that engages into a bunch of holes on the axle, or the sprocket I should say. And you have to release them with this cable. It's kind of hard now because there's tension against it, but when you pull the lap bars down, this one's got the dual lap bars here and here. You pull them down, it pulls on those cables and pulls the pin out of the sprockets, so then the skid steer will be able to drive forward and backwards. But that's pretty much all that I've done off camera. Just some small odds and ends things, but we need to get the electrical started on this guy, and let me show you what we're working with. So here's what's left of what the case calls the rear harness. It goes to all the electrical sensors, the fuel sender, oil pressure, hydraulic temp, and such. You can see that harness here in the manual. It's kind of condensed here really, but this is in really poor shape. It's been patched, it's worn through in multiple areas. It's just in really bad shape. Not to mention, Case put a bunch of switches and stuff on it that I'm not going to use. Things like the backup alarms. There's some other things for some European models. I think even has some ends. So a lot of these ends aren't used. So what I ended up doing is I wrote down a list of all of the components that I'm actually going to use, and then I went to the wiring diagram and drew out the connectors. These are the 3 connectors, and the pin terminals, colors, and how they're routed. And I got the gauge side of the wire and the color, and then I went online and bought a bunch of bulk wire in those gauge sizes. And we're going to remake this harness, but we're going to eliminate all of the connectors that I'm never going to use, and quite frankly, it's just going to clean up the wiring completely. So we're going to focus on the rear harness side, so everything on the main chassis. There is this harness that's called the front and instrument panel harness. You can actually see it on the machine here. It goes up this side pillar and into the cluster. That's going to be done later. I'm going to get this side of the harness done first, and then I'll worry about that other side when we get to that. So first thing, I need to start routing the wiring from each sensor, and then bringing them to like a termination point by the bell housing, which is where these 3 normally connect. And so I can see how I want to route it and then get some proper wire protection on there. So the first one we're going to start off with is the fuel level sender. This is the original. It's been spliced, and there's the end that was on it. I got some of these universal ends. They're not the best quality, but That's what I have on hand, and should be good enough. If I have any more issues later on, I can replace the ends or something, but should be fine. I'm gonna leave some slack in the wire. So this is 20 gauge, it says. This stripper is actually for only 18, but it'll work. And I'm gonna crimp just because crimping is a little bit more resistant to vibration. I do like soldering, but they say that crimping is better in vibrating environments. So I'm going to go put that on the machine, and then we'll kind of route the wire where it looks best. The fuel sender is down on the left side of the tower here. There's a little stud sticking out. If I can get you in there. And that's been replaced with an aftermarket sender that's supposed to have the correct ohms, and I think it'll work just fine. So I'm going to put my crimped end on there. Okay, I'm going to leave everything loose, and I'm not cutting any wiring because, like I said, I don't know how I want to route this. I'm probably just doing a custom job and route it the best I think. So for now, I'm going to kind of just lay this across the bell housing because that's where most of these wires end up, and just set this roll over here. And I will, once I get all of them together, I will combine them in the best locations and tape them to keep them out of the way. But I need to get everything set in there so I can see how everything's going to kind of lay. Next, I'm going to do the fuel solenoid. It's an 18 gauge orange wire, and it's up under the head of the injection pump, and it's quite difficult to get to. So I'm not going to be able to show you here on video really what I'm doing. You're kind of one of those, you have to just feel it situations. I can feel the terminal, but getting it on there with your fingers is not easy. Took me a while, but I did end up getting it on down there. On the same side, just below the injection pump, is the oil pressure sender. And it's a yellow wire, 20 gauge. We'll get that on here. This one's a lot easier to get to. I really struggled on that injector pump one. It's really tucked up in a hard spot. So yeah, those are going to end up running probably together in a loom. They kind of both run up on the side of the engine here. I know you guys can't see well, but we'll figure it out again. Once we get all the wires, we'll group things together and route them where we think they'll stay out of trouble. So I went and hooked the rest of them all up off camera. Kind of tidied things up, and I kind of did away with all the end of the rolls and just cut my harness long. It was just getting too much stuff right in this area. But I'll start off on the harness that comes from this side. This one does the alternator and the starter. I still got another terminal in I need to crimp there. I didn't have one big enough. And I just kind of have them ran this way, tied into this hydraulic pressure sender, which I need a new one of those. And then it's going to go along the back side of the engine. And it comes on over here, comes down, and that's kind of what I have. It's going to terminate in this area where the connectors will be. And then on this side, I got the coolant temp sender back there, the hydraulic filter restriction sensor, and then the oil pressure and fuel solenoid air restriction sensor. And they're kind of tied up into this loom here. So I'm not sure how I'm going to run that yet. I need to get the rest of my cables or linkages. I got the throttle linkage in here now, so you can see it move. And then there's still need to hook up the loader control valve linkages down there, just to make sure I don't get the loom in the way of those moving parts. But that's what we're looking. And I did order some braided sheathing for these and some bigger terminal ends to run the grounds and the alternator and starter wires. Let's move it along. So on these 1840s and 45Cs, the parking brakes are just pins that go out into the sprocket. I think I mentioned this before. And the cables are pulled around these pulleys that mount down in here. And mine were in pretty poor shape. Mainly the bore was really wore out. There was tons of slop in it. And I looked these up, and these are really expensive through case. But looking at the pulley overall, it was usable. It's just a lot of clearance. So what I did was I just made a new bushing that was about 40 thousandths bigger to take that slop up. So I don't have any reason not to use them now, but I can get them installed down in here just to knock another thing off the list. It's this metal guide here, and I think I'm going to need to run the cable around it before I bolt this down. There we go. It's a 3/8 by 1.5 inch bolt with a lock nut on the bottom. How does that go? Oh. Hooks to this spring. So the angle of that plate there probably is going to need to be adjusted after the fact. Kind of angles up a little bit, so I don't know if it needs to be rotated. I'm going to just start with making it flat, and then I'll adjust it later on if necessary. Looking pretty good. So I did hook them up to the springs up under here. It's a little clevis pin that goes through there. So that's pulling the plunger in and out. I got tension on it by just taking a zip tie. Let's see if I can get you a view. So this is where the spring is. It goes this cross rod. And the other side of the rod is this lever here. I just have it zip tied up to this bar. So that eventually will be attached to the handles in the cab. See if this side's got a little bit more room. So the cable and spring right here. There's a bar that goes across, and then there's another lever right here. See right there? And that gets attached up here to the levers. So when you pull the levers down, it pulls the pins out of the sprockets. Hope that's clear. Okay, let's move on to the battery and battery box or bracket. So when I got this machine, the battery was just laying in the bottom with no way to hold it or secure it. I did some research and found a picture of a battery tray that was original to it. And based off the picture and measuring the mounts, I made this out of some 1/8 inch plate. And case originally had some isolators, very similar to this. These are off eBay, I think. The case ones are crazy expensive, and they push through the bottom. See if I can do this with one hand here, like that. And then there's a washer that goes between here and these little brackets that hold square nuts. So I found some washers that I think will work, and I think these are 1 inch 3/8 by 1, and we're gonna get this put down in there, and then these are gonna compress when I tighten them down. I think I'm just gonna use some blue Loctite to keep them from backing off. I think that's probably best because those are not locking nuts down in there. Okay, I got all 4 of the rubber bumpers on, and then I'm gonna lay washer down here in each one of these. Try to line this up. And then also a washer on the top. I got these holes pretty close, but obviously not perfect. That one doesn't want to start very well. Okay, that one went. All right, that one went. Okay, now I'm gonna snug these down a little bit. Nice, I think that worked out really well. All right, I want to set the battery in here to get an idea about my battery cable length. These are not easy to get in on these machines. And according to the manual, the positive goes towards the front of the machine. It's hitting the pump. There we go. Tight, very tight. Okay. Also need to finish fabricating one of the brackets here. It's only got partial. I think I got one bolt that goes down and one side bracket. I need another one. This is one of the original battery brackets, the only one I have. It's not in the best shape, so I'm going to pound it flat to make 2 new ones, so use it as a template. Hair a bit longer. It's not going to really matter, I don't think. So I'm just going to go with it and I'll trace this out and drill the hole and then bend it, and it should be pretty close to the original. Okay, I drilled that hole, and I'm going to just use the mill to try to manually trace around there. It might not go well, and it might go really well, really good, I don't know. But I know not everyone has a mill. There's other ways you could do it. You could use a plasma cutter, you could just drill a bunch of little holes and file it. But this is the easiest way I think I can do it, so that's the way I'm going to do it. So I got a A little bit bigger end mill than the original channel, but I'm going to stay to the outside and hopefully get this cut out of there. Move you guys over here. Do it about there. Starts curving, going the other direct, going around the radius. So I'm going to go ahead and drill the front part now on the inside. Okay. And I'm going to go top of the radius. Alright. Now I'm going to try to manually radius and connect all three spots together. It doesn't look too bad. Definitely not easy. Ah, I messed it up. I was going the wrong direction. Alright, that's super frustrating. It's completely messed up. I was running the mill backwards like I was the other. Just completely got my bearings wrong. Well, I lost my patience after messing up on the mill, so I went ahead and cut 2 more pieces. I can show you here. And I kind of drilled holes around the radius, and then I connected them by manual milling. And then I went on the vise and got these hot and bent them. So they're pretty dang close to the original. So that sits across the battery like that, and then this goes one end to the other, and then I got some through bolts that go down to the bracket. But I don't have the new battery yet. The battery that's in there is junk, so I'm just going to set these parts away for now until I'm ready to install it. Alright, off camera I cleaned loader control push rods, what I'm going to call them. Cleaned them up, ran a die on the ends here, put a new lock nut, and they go from the controls here and run underneath to the loader control valve down there with the 2 little plungers. So those go in and out and control the loader functions by these hard lines that run to each tower, and then down the metal rods or metal hard lines on the loader and into the appropriate cylinders. So I got some new pins. Manual shows cotter pins on this side, 5/16 by 1, and these are, I bored these out and there because there's a lot of play. These are now 7 millimeters, and these little special clips, or what was originally used, those are called RUE clips, R-U-E, and I think we're all good to get them installed. So the longer clevis goes to the back, to the spool, and this particular model is a non-emission engine, so these are straight. There is a version that has a bend in it. Let's see here. I think I'm going to have to get a pliers to get this started. Yep, I need a pliers. Okay, first of all, this needs to be up. I messed that up because these set has to go over that. And then I'm not down far enough, so maybe I can get it in here. There we go. Finally. And then we will get this other one in. Oh no. When they drop down there, they always get lost. Alright, I did find it and managed to get them on there. I'm going to run the cotter keys in, and then I can hook up this backside. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. We go in the back. Not an easy angle. I really don't get what is making it so difficult. Well, I took the whole thing back off and you know what it was? Cheap parts. This area was flared up more. The harder I moved it in, the tighter it got. So I had to kind of grind it down, which stinks because I took some of the anti-corrosion off of it, but I'll put something on it. Well, somehow with my messing around with this pin, I've completely lost the other one. But you can see how it's supposed to be. And then this side. And that's how it prevents it. That's the inner lock, unless that's lifted. So for you guys, that's going to be the end of it. I'm going to find that pin. I'll get that put in just like this other one. I'm going to move on for now until that pin shows up. I'll move my attention over to the cab. These are those lock handles I keep referring to that pull up on that inner lock. I'll get those out of the way. These are really worn. They need a bunch of work. Just slopping the pivots. That one's been scabbed together. And I got this electrical panel up here. I want to see how bad a shape it is. It's showing 2,084 hours. Pretty confident that didn't work. One's not wanting to come out. There's that one. too bad in here. This looks like a GM weather pack connector. Case LED Crawler, Case Corporation. Decent shape. We're going to set it aside for now. There's like this cover here, got a channel that covers the wiring that comes down this pillar. And I think it's held on some 3/8 bolts on the side here. Yep. Only one of the three still holding. There's other stuff kind of tucked away back in here. Relay. I'm going to spend some time getting all this out, and then I'll bring you guys back in. Once I get that, it's like there's no way for me to film it, and there's a bunch of stuff, the switch, ignition, all in here. It's all tight. I just learned that that whole electrical box drops down because there's no way I can get up in there. So this will be much easier. There we go. Makes a lot more sense. Just gonna set this aside for now. There's a harness here that runs to the back. Get this headliner out of here. That could have been bad. Thankful for not getting hurt. Didn't really see that coming. Was not planned. Okay, nut, bolt goes through, 7/16 through bolt. Those might be original. Don't know. Tell you what, that definitely scared me. Okay, I'm gonna have to move those back. Yeah. There. It really is kind of surprising that this is in as good condition as it actually is. It's completely stripped. All the wires, interior. So, game plan. It's all in pretty good shape. No major dents other than that front left corner is a little rough. Not terrible, but I'd definitely like to fix that and this. I think my best option is to flip this upside down and lay it on a piece of wood and see if I can straighten this. Otherwise I might have to use heat. But I'm gonna flip it, and then I'm gonna fix it off camera because you guys have seen me beat on stuff enough trying to bend stuff back, and then I'll show you the end result. It's heavier than it looks. Yeah, change of plans. I think I'm going to pick up on the forklift on this side and lay it down. It's going to slam down if I try to do it by hand more than what I want to try to handle. If it's not going to be bent, it's going to be bent now. Probably not, but still. Man. Thing is just so awkward. That was a complete cluster, embarrassing all in one. All right, bring it back. All right, I got all the metal work done. First, I want to got this pretty much straightened out. Did a bunch of work in here. Had to come more establish this angle with a punch, getting this real hot. And it's just got a lot of hammer marks in it from the prior owner trying to repair it and me. So it's going to take some filler, but it's pretty straight for the most part. Did a lot of individual ones here. I put a big piece of metal back here and got this whole area red hot and flattened it and a bunch of individuals. Fixed the broken off ones on the side here and this dent. I'll have to put some filler there too. And two bent end ones on this side. And this one was completely missing. So I made a new one, welded it in. And just a tad bit, this corner ear was bent in. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Now it's unfortunately time for my favorite thing to do, sandblasting. And again, it's super hot outside. It's been cool for about a month and got 3 or 4 days of 95 degrees, but I can't wait around for the weather. I need to move forward on this. So I'm gonna go bring this outside and sandblast it, and then I'll bring you back when I'm done. The VIN tag I need to take off still. I think this is the cab serial number. It's in pretty bad shape, but I don't want to make it any worse. It's the following day. Yesterday, 4 hours of sandblasting. 2 50-pound bags of sand, a lot of sweat, but I had to hurry up and leave the scene because I had to bring bring the kids and myself to a birthday party, so I just kind of left everything. But right as my sand ran out, I was finishing my last little area, little patch up here I'll do by hand. But this was, I don't know, it might have been the worst part to sandblast of all of them. So I'm glad it's done. I got a little bit of surface rust from when I used some paint stripper on the stickers. Sandblasting and stickers just don't go well. It's just rubbery and the sand just bounces off. So I'll probably OSFO this like I have a lot of the other things just to take care of the rust. But now I need to bring it back in the shop and do a little bit of filler work on some of these hammer mark areas just to make it look a little bit better. It's pretty decent, but I think we can do better. Give you a quick once over, fresh off of sandblasting. Just a lot of fine detail getting the face and the edge. Yeah, it's not too fun. Happy with it though. Sprayed a light coat of OSFO on it yesterday and it sat overnight. I think I'll get it pulled into the shop and give it a light sanding, and then we can get some primer on it. And I have some of the original brown color ordered through Case, and hopefully we can get some of that tomorrow morning. So I got the sides, most of this primed pretty decent. The only thing I didn't get was the underside, so I got her lifted in the air, and I'll do that, and then it needs to sit overnight before I can put the first coat of brown on. So while I wait on the cab to dry, I'm going to work on the battery cables, and I bought 2 5-foot cables in a set from Amazon. They didn't have any ends on them, and the ends aren't terribly expensive, the lugs, but I like making my own. I just take the right size copper, flatten the end, and then drill a hole in it and solder it on. Saves you a few bucks, and I think it's just as good as what you can buy. So I'll show you how I do that. So I just flatten the end first, about how long I want the lug to be, as far as the area with the hole in it. And then I'll go drill. This is the battery side, so I want to put a 3/8 hole in that. I support the cable with a piece of wood. Deforms it sometimes a little bit, and then I'll clean that up on the grinder. Cleaned it up a little bit. Ran the drill bit back down through again, cleaned it up on the grinder again, rounded the edges to make it look nice. Now I'm going to cut it to length. And then I'll straighten that up. Clean it out so get nice shiny copper for soldering. Then strip the cable back. Okay. And it's just barely big enough. You gotta work this in there, which makes it great to solder because there's not too much excess. I like when there's just a little copper showing, that way I can get my solder down in there. And then put my torch on low. Try to focus the heat away from the sheathing. I don't want to burn that, and I just keep testing until it melts. Turn it around. Try to get all 4 sides. Then I'll go cool it off. There it is, cleaned up. I usually put the end of the vise and do a little pull test on it, but I have all my battery end connections made on the starter down right here, and then my ground is on the bell housing. I have this idea to wrap this with this hydraulic protection as it goes underneath here to kind of help keep things organized and help protect it, and then it curves around onto the battery. So I'm going to work on getting that on, and I'll show you how it ends up. Fish it down under here. Oh, this is turning out really, really well. I'm super happy with it. So, like I said, the new battery I post. This gives me a little flexibility and the wiring. I got it zip tied to this hydraulic line all the way up, and then single line. I put a single wrapping of that on here so I could keep it protected in this area. But I really like how professional it looks, and it fits well with the quality of the rest of the machine. So I need to keep plugging away on the wiring here before we get that loader on. I really want to get the loader on, but it's going to really block my access. So I need to make sure I don't get ahead of myself here. So for my harness protection, I picked up some of these braided rolls and different thicknesses, or widths I should say. Running some small individual ones, and then as they come together I'll step up into a bigger size. But there's some heat shrink they give you just to secure it to the end. So I got this one. I'm going to run up on this hydraulic sensor, and then I'll bring the heat shrink up. Makes for a real professional look. Well, it's been 2 hours that I've spent routing this and covering it with that protection. Real happy with how it turned out. Coolant temp sensor back there, and it comes into a bigger harness, and then the injector pump harness, fuel solenoid and oil pressure in there, and then it all comes together there. And then on the other side, alternator, starter, it all comes together right there. Goes along the back of the engine. Let's see if I can get you a view of it. And then there's going to be the weather pack connectors somewhere down in here. This is the end of my 2 harnesses. So somewhere down in here to connect to the cab harness. I need to run, I got one ground here. This ground is for, it goes right into the connector. And then, see, I got one more ground, this one right here, that needs tied in. I'll probably just tie it to this one here on this end. And then I'm going to run one from underneath my control valve here, also to under this bell housing stud. That's where the original chassis to engine ground was. So I got part of it made here. But that's probably all I'm going to show you for this side of the harness. I still got the entire harness for the cab, which the cab is outside drying in primer right now. So I'm running out of time for the day, so it'll be another day before I work on this. Well, this has been drying for a week, and as you can see, I went with the original brown. I know a lot of people wanted to go with black or prefer to go with black, but I like to keep the color scheme correct to the vintage of machine, and this is the color that was used up until, I don't know, when they made the second generation, some changes to the frame, the lap bar, and some of those things. So I chose to keep it the same. Got the wiring pretty much in a position where I think I can get this on and wrap everything up after the fact, but now I got to get this thing down and flipped over without messing this all up. So let's do that. This is another big moment, getting the cage on, or the rollover protection. Don't know if I'll get the boom on this video or not. We'll see. Really close here. I think I got enough clearance to get her done, but close. Yeah, so there's some bolts that go up right here, 2 here, and there's 3 across the back. I don't think these are as important. These are the main structural ones. Need to wedge that out. I got contact back here. Almost on up here. Oh. It's down. This thing looks a lot bigger. Awesome. right, pretty sweet. Personally, I love the brown. I think it looks good. So, happy I stayed with that. And it looks good now. Just wait till I get all the decals on it. Then it really will look good. All right, we got 4 bolts up front here. I get this pen punch, trying to get things aligned. This needs to go back a little bit. I'm going to get all the bolts in first before I do any tightening, because it looks like this would kind of be one of those situations where things get in a bind pretty easy. So I'm just going to get nuts on them, but not tight by any means. And back here we got some 1/2-inch bolts. These are pretty good size. 1/2 by 1.5 inch, I believe. It's gotta come over. Whole thing needs to shift over about 1/4 inch. Not enough. Oh. Yeah, so it's touching down there, but yet not. I can't get the bolts in here yet. Looks like I'm gonna have to pry that over. Telling you, when it goes down there, almost never comes back out. Got out with a magnet. Okay, those are started. I really thought it'd be heavier on the front. I think I can still make that work though. Not much space between here and the cab. I don't talk a lot when I'm really focused. Kind of needs to go up and over to get in the slot. I don't know if I have enough clearance. If I can kind of push it up and over, maybe. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. That'll work. Check this other side. Okay, I think I can take the blankets off now. See? Come down now. Front to back, we're doing pretty good. This pin's like right in here. Yeah, we're right there on this side. Yeah. One thing I forgot is washers that need to go in here. At least I think that need to go in here. If I remember right. I think I had one on the inside. I did test fit this a long time ago. These are the pins that I made, but I don't have any idea where the washers are. You guys probably aren't going to like me because my luck ran out. But I cannot find the washers that set between the boom and the pin boss in here. I thought these were the right ones. These are the original pins, which are too small because this has been line bored. But the reason you're not going to like me is because I'm going to put these small pins in so I can lower it down until I can find the washers or order new ones. But it's pretty frustrating because my good luck did come to an end. So I'm just going to line this up the best I can just to kind of get it in there enough so I can leave the boom down. And then once I find them, I'll have to hook it back up and do this all over again. Man, this side does not want to go down. Well guys, not quite the way I wanted to end, but it's looking great. So I'm super excited, super happy with where I'm at. I love the brown, to be honest. I think it looks real classic. If anyone has suggestions for a quality decal set that's the right vintage, there's two different kinds, designs. I need the older style. Shoot me a link or something, or tell me where to find them. I know there's some on eBay, but I really haven't looked too hard yet. But anyway, we're going to be done for this video. If you guys liked this, please give me a thumbs up. Love to read your comments. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.